Unless you don't want to, Jake, I guess. Oh, we're on air. Jake muted himself before he counted us in tonight. So we had no idea we were live. I really think these are open.
I almost made another really silly joke before we went live, so I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, glad we got those jokes out before we went live.
Be the first time I ever did that, though.
To be honest, I'm surprised this has not happened before, considering how many plates Jake is juggling at any given moment when running Althaven. Like, it is shocking that I think this has only happened one other time in the 5+ year history we've been streaming. So, but all the same, fuck you, Jake.
There goes the monetization.
There it goes. No.
There you go. I'm done.
Welcome back to another episode of The Last Excelsior, our Star Trek Adventures actual play here with the very queer StreamPunks. It is good to see everybody this evening. Also, Happy Pride is our first announcement. We welcome everybody into this channel, everyone who wants to celebrate an idealistic future where we kick the shit out of people who do shit like make their entire servitor race dependent on a drug. Sorry, I'm going into Dominion stuff right now.
I think my dogs heard that one.
Yeah, so can you do another octave? Can we?
I have shocked myself in karaoke. Let's just say that.
Shocktive.
Yes, I blew my voice out doing U2 one night in karaoke and discovered that I can hit the same notes that Bono can, but I won't have my voice for the rest of the week, and I can only hold it for about 1 second. Anyway, so. We're going to go ahead and kick things off. We're pretty giggly tonight because it's a good month to celebrate each other and everything that's happening. So everything that's happening that's good in our community, that is. Not everything that is happening. But I'm going to go ahead and just start my announcements just to give everyone a quick reminder. Issue 3 of Stranger Things, The Rise of Hellfire is out. Issue 4 is coming out this month. It's going to be the final issue of our story of Eddie and how he discovered Dungeons & Dragons and became the dungeon master of the Hellfire Club because he was not the first. So it's a story about Eddie's journey, published by Dark Horse Comics. I co-wrote it with my partner, Jody Hauser, and I hope you guys enjoy the hell out of it. And that, I think, is my only announcement for this evening for myself. If anybody else has got anything, we can kick things off. Anybody? Anybody at all? Yes, go ahead, Caitlin.
As always, I'm playing GeoGuessr on Sunday nights over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/KAMABR. All my VODs are on YouTube now. You should go watch them. Yesterday's stream was kind of a nightmare, and I actually really think that you should watch it. If you haven't seen any of my streams, it was a complete mess and very cursed. And
ooh, what a pitch.
I know, yeah.
I love
it.
So
check out my VODs on YouTube. I'm having a lot of fun putting them over there.
Very good. Thank you, Caitlin. Does anybody else have any other announcements for this evening? Anything else they'd like to get off their chest?
No. Jax, please. I'll do the same old thing. Every Tuesday, you can hear my voice and a bunch of other very talented role players in a campaign called Sacred Machinations on all podcast services. It's essentially Divinity meets Mech meets. In the recent episode we've just recorded, and I guess it's not really a spoiler because you don't have to wait for it, but like very cyberpunk-esque vibes coming into this as well. So if you like that kind of stuff, check it out on all podcast services. The Sacred Machinations. I'm using a system that I'm currently writing by the same name, Sacred Machinations. It's been a lot of fun messing around with it. Honestly, very fulfilling as a game designer as well, seeing like other people using the thing I wrote down and being like, this is fun, and it makes sense in the world we're playing in. So if you want to check that out, check out Sacred Machinations on all podcast services.
Excellent pitch. All right. Thank you, Drac. Anybody else have anything they'd like to get off their chest tonight?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Tomorrow we are premiering the next pull list episode. We missed it last week. My apologies about that. It is called Phases of Matter. It stars Jason. It's probably okay, and Sam DeLev. You get to see some villainy at work here. Over here tomorrow, same time as here. On Althaven. I just needed to say that out loud. Also, I've been nominated for a Crit Award for Best Player in a Cobalt Press production. So if you'd like to help me out, you can go and vote. Or if you would like to play some Cobalt Press with me, I will be at Gen Con running Tales of the Valiant, this very same game I'm nominated for playing it. So please be sure to check that out. That's it. That's everything.
That's
I'm
all. That's all.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. All right. Thank you, Noir. Congratulations, Noir.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything they would like to? Yes, Sam.
Yes. First, happy Pride. I know we said it before. It's just I wanted to say it again because I can. I can all month. So there. I can all year.
I can't, Sam. Sorry.
I'm so sorry. Sam, can I interrupt you about something?
Yeah, of course.
I was talking about accomplishments like, the critical thing, and I completely forgot that someone here is now qualified to be in Starfleet because they have been secretly taking Harvard classes this whole time. Yeah. So congratulations to you, Sam.
What?
Oh, yes, it's very cool.
I think the name of your show needs to be definitely contain science, as you are telling. As you tell them.
Yes, if you want to find out about the year I secretly studied graduate bioinformatics, there's a video up on my Coffee about that little adventure, which is also how anyone found out about that. I got to learn lots of things. We got to pay a lot of it forward secretly into May Contain Science, which ties into my announcement because I will be finishing up some IRL science as we prepare to submit our proposal for new studies tomorrow. So please, everyone, think the good funding thoughts, because that's when we send it, and then it won't be evaluated for like way. So I'm going to be keeping my fingers crossed for a very long time. But all of that is to say that we won't have a fresh episode of May Contain Science because the science can't be contained. If I'm not out there tomorrow morning instead of streaming, it'll escape containment. So yeah, no stream tomorrow, but then we're fully back on schedule because IRL science.
We're real proud of you.
Yeah, holy shit. Congrats.
Thank you.
Wait,
yeah, I got an email about it. That's how I found out. Email notification from
I'm sorry. I've got to call this out.
Said, what?
I've got to call this out because I need everyone to know that this is what it's like being friends with Sam. Sam has been my best friend for a decade practically at this point, and I have no fucking clue this shit happens until like Sam is like, oh, by the way, yeah, I know I can kind of conquer the world. But anyway, whatever. Let's talk about terriers. Like that's what it's like being friends with them. So we all get to experience this holy shitness together. So congratulations, Delev.
Thank you.
And with that, I think we're going to go ahead and jump into tonight's episode of The Last Excelsior. I was waiting for you not to count us in and being like, "Can we play Star Trek now, guys? Are you done? Are you done? Can we play some Star Trek now?" All right. Let us jump into a game that we are playing, where we can finally say definitively that Sam's hyper competent Star Trek character is not as impressive as the player. Let's go ahead and begin where we last left off. With you guys did have a moment where you had a familiar face was swinging by the USS Pride to pick up a certain prisoner that you all discovered. Just to give you guys a quick snapshot of where we are from the last session, I've already informed the crew, but currently we're going to do a bit of a time jump, because what ends up happening is Starfleet Intelligence sends their operative, somebody who is specialized in bringing in Section 31 people from the cold, or prosecuting war criminals in this case, and bringing them back to face summary judgment, who, by the way, did not get their offer taken up by one particular Vulcan on board the ship, despite the momentary temptation. Lieutenant Commander Lassie Leclerc, boarded the USS Pride, introduced herself very quickly to the captain, was on board and off board in less than an hour. She arrived, took the prisoner into custody, was very quick to thank everyone, and then beamed off with said prisoner. The USS Pride has been ordered then back to Starbase 16 to not only debrief, but sort of have a little bit of downtime. It's not shore leave, it's downtime. The Pride needs some maintenance, especially because of some of the concerns your chief engineer has had with the engine being pushed well beyond the limits of anything Starfleet has any kind of regulation or book for. It's not entirely clear what exactly the side effects or happenstance, what occurred when you guys activated and stimulated the anti-chronotons they're laden with in the hull and the propulsion system of the Pride. That needs further study. And heading back to Starbase 16, you all found yourselves with a genuine moment of respite. It has been 2 days since you guys arrived on Starbase 16, and literally nothing has happened. And what you were all getting, especially from Ox crew, who are moving back and forth between the Starbase and the Pride, is not only your duty shifts pretty much light right now, as they always are when you're in Starbase. It's mostly just maintenance and standard upkeep. Department heads are reporting that a lot of the Ox crew are having difficulty finding out what to do with themselves. They're not entirely sure they are ready for some downtime yet. This has led to some department heads having to have discussions with their crew about taking care of themselves and taking some off time. Can you see that I'm drawing upon real life here? Can you see that I pull my inspiration from my crew and from
it was fun.
And that being said, there have been some improvements. The 6-1 Club now has Dabo tables. Gods help us. And those have been introduced by, let's just say, Givonez has managed to do some pretty suave convincing to get those tables installed in the 6-1 Club. So shortly after the order is sent down from department heads, the state of the USS Pride right now is once again a fluctuating ghost town of crew coming and going and taking some downtime. Of course, Pavin refuses to leave the Pride. He actually finds it relaxing to crawl through the Jeffries tubes and to, in a quiet corridor without the ship getting ready to explode or being under attack by a ghost bird of prey, to be able to actually go through all of the systems and electromagnetic pulse generators, as well as, more specifically, the plasma induction conduits located all over the ship for the plasma infusion systems to make sure that the Pride is running properly for a girl that's 87, 88 years old now. This has led to you being able to reconnect with the brass and get a bit of a debrief, Captain. And we're going to go ahead and start off with you getting some whiskey poured into a glass by Admiral Grotto Crom, the Tellarite Admiral, who says, There's not a whole lot of drinks on Earth that I like, but there's a territory called Tennessee, and they make this amber-colored fluid that I thought didn't taste like anything when I first had some. And as he finishes his pouring it, he's like, but I realize it's not the taste of the thing on your tongue, it's the burn when you exhale it through your nostrils where the pleasure comes from. And he swishes it around in his glass.
There's a mighty smooth song about the drink, if I'm not mistaken. Tennessee whiskey.
You know Tennessee whiskey. All right. Do you know the song? You going to sing it for me, Captain?
No, I would rather not get court-martialed.
Speaking of court-martial, he says with a grin, I see that you've gotten some approvals in from Starfleet. He hands you a data pad. And he just says, I remember what it was like when these little surprises came down from up on high. You're going to have yourself a pretty fun next couple of days, I think.
I'm extraordinarily proud of my crew, and it makes it very easy for me to send these sort of requests to the brass, especially with the evidence that they give me of their ability.
I got to tell you something. I know you hear this a lot. The Tellarite pushes himself off his front of his desk, moves and steps behind it. He seems to consider what he's about to say for a moment, looks into his whiskey like he's trying to decide if it's actually a compliment or not, almost, as he kind of ponders his glass, and he says, I know it's not a secret that a lot of people didn't think much of the Pride heading back out for another tour of duty. And you guys have, again and again, in Starfleet's finest tradition, proven those who think they know what they're talking about quite wrong. I'm going to go so far as I'm going to say, I'm going to be the bigger Tellarite right now and admit that I am more than a little envious of that son of a bitch, Rollin. Because you have made him look so good. And it's only his first 2 years wearing the Admiral's bar, and he is already showing us up.
That's the thing about fighter pilots. They're used to taking extraordinary risks.
God. I got to tell you, Captain, that's another reason why I thought the Pride was doomed. Having a bunch of fighter pilots on board.
It gets interesting, and the language is always colorful.
He slides into the chair and he says, Rollin wanted me to pass on the message that he's going to have some feedback from Starfleet regarding the debrief of your classified guest who was just transported back to Earth.
I trust that is being handled with the utmost care. It was quite the surprise for us to encounter them.
Starfleet had her listed missing in action. Officially, she has quite the story. She used to be Starfleet intelligence. The best ones usually are. And she, like so many, got seduced by the frustrations of having to act within an ethical framework and decided, why not just become like the very thing we strive to push back against? And it's an old story. But justice will be done. Starfleet will make sure not only will she serve time for what she's done, but Starfleet doesn't intend to bury it either. I gotta say, there's a lot of people in command right now that have finally learned some of the lessons the past has been trying to teach us for a very long time.
No shortcuts. Do things the right way and treat each other the way we like to teach it. Simple principles. It's amazing how often we lose sight of them.
Yes, it is. He leans back and just kind of enjoys a moment of pause between the conversation. And he says, not sure what your next round of orders are, but if I had to guess, I'd say Starfleet's going to send you all out to continue your investigations into this whole matter. And I read your debrief about your encounter with the Romulan commander. Now, as I understand it, you two had a discussion about something that's actually out of my pay grade, apparently. Rollin has an idea of what you two talked about, but he stressed to me that it needs to be need to know for right now, and I don't need to know, so I'm going to respect that. But just know...
Curiosity.
Curiosity. I mean, I became an admiral. I didn't think there were still going to be doors closed to me after that. But turns out. Anyway, my point is, Captain, no matter what happens, I want you to consider Starfleet, well, not a hell with Starfleet. I want you to consider Starbase 16, home of the USS Pride.
Well, it's good to be home. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I'm going to stop taking up your time because I'm sure you've got a lot of gloating to do. You're going to be making a lot of people feel a certain way, so you should get on that. And congratulations. If you need any recommendations for positions that need to be filled by replacing some of the staff, just let me know. And I've got a few.
Will do. I have some ideas in mind myself. Thank you, Admiral.
Thank you, Captain. Clear skies.
Clear skies. And he's going to get up and down his whiskey and try to pretend it doesn't hurt. And
you definitely get that tunnel of burn as soon as you exhale through your nostrils. It feels like the temperature of your breath rose about 100 degrees for a split second as it just...
This is why I don't drink. He's going to head on out.
Yeah. Side note, my mom was always worried I was going to drink after I got out of high school. But I kept telling her I'm an ADHD kid. Why would I drink beer when there's soda? Why would I give
You need to drink. It's good for your kidney. Oh, you meant alcohol.
No, I meant alcohol, yeah.
That's not good for you.
All right. With that, as you step through the doors and enter into the main hub of Starbase 16, the USS Pride is currently not under any direct orders to depart Starbase. You are essentially in a bit of a holding pattern right now. You've got some downtime to do whatever you feel like needs to be done for the Pride and her crew until the orders come in. You are expecting any day now that those orders will come down from Rollin himself, but at the moment, the Pride, she can do as she pleases. So in other words, Noir, from GM to player, you have the con. Mm-hmm. And then he muted himself, like, just to make fun of me, just to kill the moment.
My favorite part is the one where we know exactly what word he's saying.
What'd you do? I turned off the wall. No, you didn't. You turned off the wall.
There they are.
What I meant to say was, I think that he's going to set up appointments for each member of the crew to meet him for a one-on-one debrief.
Okay.
In the galley, and while he's there, he is going to use the time to also fix up the galley some more.
Okay.
So the question that I have is, who would like to go first? I'll tell you how you lost.
It's that across the pond lag.
Yeah.
On the other side of the Atlantic, and it also being like 3:30 in the morning for you.
It's the siblings. No, it's just the siblings. The siblings know. The siblings know. You can't. You got to get in on that
My
first.
mind, your mind, baby.
Yep.
Yeah, 10 will come first.
Okay.
All right.
So let me set this up for you, because when you get to the galley, what you find is because of the arrival of Starbase 16, the galley has been undergoing a transformation. The moment you guys set into Starbase, all of a sudden, there's opportunity to get fresh ingredients that are passing through traders here on Starbase 16. And for the past couple of days, that is precisely what has been happening. You guys have been basically getting loaded up on all kinds of goods. All the good, fresh stuff coming in. And Westsot is now the one who needs to be told to go to bed. He is the one that is like enjoying his work so much that he is forgetting to sleep, kind of thing. So for the last couple of days, the galley is currently full of people outside the main kitchen area. And you see engineers installing tables outside the main kitchen area. You can also see basically interior engineer core removing some of the replicator units inside the galleyed area and moving those into the kitchen area. But you also see an industrial replicator, a small industrial replicator has been installed in the kitchen area. So if you lose a utensil or an item, you can simply just replicate an entire oven if you need to. Also, you see that they have begun to install what appears to be the first round of micro transmitters for holographic projection inside the main cabin and the main areas. You quickly learn that this is actually becoming something of a standard on Starfleet ships, and over the next 10 years, they're going to outfit all Starfleet vessels with hologram emitters on every accessible area that they can.
Hell yeah. In that case, I guess we'll be having these one-on-ones in the ready room.
Yeah, if you don't want anybody, unless you order everybody out, which, by the way, Captain, you can absolutely do. You step in and say, everyone looks like you're doing great, give me the room, and everyone does.
Oh, no, I want that galley I want that galley finished as soon as possible. I want some homemade food. So, yeah, there's going to be a chime to Taeon to meet the captain in the ready room.
My way, Captain. And
all right.
Yeah.
It's
a knocks.
Okay.
Come on in.
Captain.
Door hisses open as you step into the captain's room.
Please have a seat.
Thank you, Captain. And I'll take a seat.
So, this is our formal debrief of the mission. I've sent over all of our records to the Admiral, going over every part of the mission. I just wanted to know very quickly if there's anything that you would like to have passed along to the Admiralty.
Nothing in particular, Captain. It was a mission we were assigned, and so we did what we could to make sure we fulfilled it.
And what would you say? What would you say about your service in the mission?
Though ultimately it worked out, I do think to some degree I acted a bit recklessly. I'm lucky that I survived it to be able to think back on it with such clear vision, but
single-handedly infiltrating a Jem'Hadar attack vessel.
Like I said, Captain, reckless.
Thin line between reckless and courageous. I believe that you found yourself on the better part of that line, and the Admiral agrees. So if it's all the same to you, I've recommended you for accommodations. Nothing's official yet, but from the looks of it, Federation agrees with what I see in your service.
Thank you, Captain.
Don't thank me. This is just the result of your hard work and absolute nerves of steel.
Was that a word for it? In all honesty, I was terrified.
You would be mad not to be. What's the quote? Courage isn't the absence of fear, but the conquering of it.
I think that is it. Thank you, Captain.
Just one thing.
Yes.
Make sure that you stay on the right side of that reckless and courageous line and keep coming back.
I
Make
plan to, Captain.
good. You're making me look real good.
I tried to do my best to continue to do that.
How's your time here? Are you finding everything to your liking?
Yes, no, it's been good. I would admit the initial first day here was a bit nerve-wracking, but I think having a friend here made it a lot more easy to ease into the dynamic of the ship. And I think since then I've had quite a good rapport with the security team on the rest of the bridge. I actually was just preparing the security team to be a bit on edge, so I was actually preparing a ttrpg campaign, a West Marches for the security team, just to have something to do while they're off.
RPG. I'm sorry, I'm unfamiliar with the term.
Tabletop role-playing game. It's essentially acting at a table with a group of friends, but we act based on the dice rolls we make in different situations, scenarios.
So you sit at a table with
Yes.
other people.
Yes.
And you use die to
determine the outcome of actions that may succeed or fail. Yeah. It's been good so far.
No, whatever builds team cohesion. Truly.
I think it has been. If at any point you want to hop in and just see how it's like, you're more than welcome to, Captain.
I will keep that in mind. Thank you very much for the invitation. Well, I think that will be TTRP. I think that'll be all.
Thank you, Captain. Do you want me to get to anyone as I head out?
Yes. If you could, please let Tavine know. I would like to see them.
Will do, Captain.
It's only fair. I was in second place on the nose goes. Yeah.
I almost lost it because when you said that, I immediately remembered the beer brand that inserted itself into Star Wars. I just heard Krista, and it just like cuts to your RPG.
I didn't want to know. I've been sitting on that for a long time because Taylor's pastime, legitimately on the character sheet, is ttrpgs. I just haven't brought it up yet.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was ever going to pop in to game.
Can you message me later about what those are? Like, I don't want to interrupt what we're doing here, but I'd be curious for later.
Don't. Sam has a bright future ahead of them at Harvard, and ruined if they start playing role-playing games. It's going to be over.
The first hit's always free. Hey,
Yeah.
kid, want to roll some dice?
If my nose keeps bleeding, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to like, leave stream.
I will go find Tavine.
Okay. Where would Tavine be?
Probably. We'll say she's in the mess hall doing at her table with Hata. They haven't had a chance to do their puzzle games in a while. So I think maybe they're just finishing up a game.
Okay.
That's where you're gonna get the. Oh no, the Teos gonna fight you. Sorry. Oh no.
I think it might be literally at the exact same time of like Tavine. I think the captains go into it, and exactly then you hear.
Impeccable timing.
When you have a moment, please join me in my ready room.
I will do that. Excuse me, Hata.
Hata looks at you and says, "Of course."
And I will be on my way.
All right.
As you leave, you kind of see me sit down and be like, "So what were you two getting up to?" And
I'm sure it's a game that I definitely tried to teach you multiple times on the Costa Vega.
I don't think it stunk at all.
My God, we're so meta tonight.
What? No. Door chirp.
Come in.
I make Captain.
Yes. Have a seat.
I do.
This is just a standard mission debrief. I've already talked to the Admiralty and gotten their feedback. Sent them detailed records of the events that occurred, but I would like to know your thoughts on our previous mission.
As a whole, sir?
Yes.
Strange. Out of the norm, perhaps? Perhaps I'd maybe dare say unusual.
Mm.
Though all of that does seem par for the course, thus maybe negating all of the earlier adjectives.
Well, that's pretty concise. I know during the mission we had an impasse. I would like to know, in your honest opinion, how am I holding up to your expectations?
Expectations?
Of a captain, yes.
I think you're doing a fine job, sir.
Likewise, which is why I sent the Admiralty a recommendation for accommodations for yourself. You're piloting through an anomaly which we have yet to truly begin understanding is an example of your exemplary talent at the helm. And I think that it should be noted and recognized.
I think as far you don't know Tabine super well, but you spent enough time with her that I do think you may recognize a little bit of not quite hesitance, but like unsure. Just like she just seems a little unsure, but she does, it passes and she says, "Thank you, Captain."
Is this unwarranted? Do you feel
Your reasonings are sound, sir.
I can't
See no
help
fault
but
in your logic.
I can't help but note hesitation in your reception of the news.
Not the news, just who it might get back to. I've been keeping myself under most radar for a while.
Are
Not
you
in any trouble, sir. It's family business.
I see.
Nothing to do with Starfleet.
Well, I have to tell you that if you continue to perform as you have been performing, you will have to work much harder to stay under the radar. Which I don't think is exactly necessary, but that is beyond my purview.
I will continue acting as I have, sir. I will not temper my commitment to the ship and her crew on this basis.
I hope you don't mind my asking, but I do notice there is some turbulence between you and Commander Cadence at times. Is this something that will grow into an issue that will need to be addressed, or is this something that the two of you can resolve?
I assure you, sir, we are trending in a positive direction. There haven't been any issues. We've been professional.
Of course, I just can't help but notice the clash of personalities.
Yes, we have been like this, I would say, since we met, I suppose. Growing up in a Vulcan human household on Earth was an interesting one. But we're used to each other. We can tone it down, I suppose, you would say. In front of polite company, if you would prefer, sir.
We'll see.
You may have to speak with them about that. But if you order it, I'm sure we both can comply.
I'm certain it won't get to the point where I need to order it. You're both professional, and that will be all to me.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
What
the notice.
Is that?
Nope. Keep going.
Well, in that case, if you come upon Hata, I would love to have a word.
I was just with them. I will make my way back. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
How's the puzzle going when I come back to the...
Hata
Keeping my seat warm.
Hata is currently in a conversation with Aeon, and it seems like they're just having a back and forth. When you step in, she glances at you, and large eyes just blink as you step in. She's, maybe resume?
You may.
Yeah, I've not been much help. I still don't understand how any of these puzzles work.
You didn't win the game for me while I was gone. I assumed you would.
In all honesty, I think I might have regressed your progress. Good luck catching up.
Hata, we may need to postpone our continuation. The captain would like to see you.
She glances over at you, to Aeon, and says, did the captain not just see you as well?
Yes, he did.
Seems to be a bit of a parade.
Sounds like everyone is being called to the principal's office today, as humans say. Oh.
Well, since we have a moment till we resume our game, I will slip into the seat that Hata vacates.
Okay, yep, she stands up.
Would you like to continue to learn?
Yes.
Taeyeon. You are being held hostage by your friend of many years who says you will learn this game with me.
All right. She excuses herself and steps out. A few minutes later, after stepping onto the turbo lift, she steps out onto the main bridge, makes her way over to the captain's quarters. There's a chirping sound just outside the door.
Come in.
The door opens. She steps inside and says, I hear you're calling everyone to your office today, Captain.
Mission debriefing. And he's going to make a point to stand. Please have a seat.
She notes your unusual formality, and her head cocks to the side a little bit, but without hesitation, she moves over and takes a seat, sits down.
I have to tell you, half of the fun of doing mission debriefing is having officers come in here completely terrified of the conversation that we're going to have.
Would you like me to step back inside and pretend I'm afraid, Captain?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I'm just telling you about one of the parts of being a captain that I didn't expect to find joy in.
She expresses some humor. You can see the way Acadians, the way that she expresses humor, it's not just a bit of a smile, but their eyes split, like blink rapidly. And it's almost like those big, beautiful black orbs on her face kind of like flutter for a moment as she emits what would appear to be a laugh at that, a chuckle.
So I've been asking everyone, as is directed in the manual, what they thought of the last mission.
What do I think of the last mission?
Oh yeah, what are your thoughts? Do you have any feedback, any worries, concerns, that sort of thing?
I'm disheartened that someone in Starfleet could do something as abhorrent as create a biological weapon with the intent of committing genocide. I don't even notice that those who would be on the receiving end of such a weapon would be the enemies who themselves would wish to commit such an act against us. That is irrelevant. I am bothered by that. And I'm pleased to hear that Starfleet is going to be prosecuting her to the fullest extent of the law.
Yes. You and I both.
I'm also concerned about the appearance of the Dominion, but relieved to hear that they are not officially being sanctioned by the Dominion. So I do have many questions for our resident Vorta friend. He is a curious character.
Very interesting. Very stuck in his ways, but I do have faith. People can change, people can grow.
I wish I was here when you met with the Romulan commander, Captain. I'm sorry that I wasn't.
Oh. No, at some point the training wheels have to come off, right?
I'm sure you did just fine.
I
The
hope I
Romulans
did.
appear to still be alive. No one was punched in the face.
No, not yet at least. We've a long way to go with this. We have a long way to go with this.
Make sure to savor every moment of it, Captain.
When I came to this ship, when I came to the Pride, I was hopelessly lost. If there is any mark of me being a captain worth following, it is because my exo led the way for me. So thank you for that.
She nods and says, that is the EXO's job. I'm sure you would have been doing the same for me if the roles had been reversed, sir.
Oh, I certainly hope so. But I think it's time for you to find out. So if you don't mind, I'm going to pull out a box with an extra pip for Hata.
You slide it across the table and Hata stares at it.
I put in a request with the Admiralty to recognize you for your service. You have gone well above and beyond the call of duty, and the Admiralty agrees. So, if I might indulge in the privilege of saying, congratulations, Captain.
When you say the word, you see an almost human-like expression on her face as her mouth hangs slightly agape. It's the only time you've seen Hata lose a little bit of composure and drop that professional demeanor that she always has. But you see her stiffen up for a moment, and she continues to stare. She doesn't reply to you. She just stares, and it takes a moment. When she sees you're about to speak, she just raises her hand for a moment and says, just savoring the moment, Captain.
Take all the time you need. The crew of the USS Molly Williams is lucky to have you.
She inhales sharply, and she slowly rises as she takes the box with the pip, and she holds it up and she says, sir, would you do me the honor?
I was hoping that you would ask. I will take the pip and I will put it on and I will say, should you ever need the Pride, we are always on your side.
For a brief moment, it takes you to realize that the moisture on her face is not from her usual holographic projection of aqua enhancement so that she can stay moisturized. In fact, it is what would appear to be tears. And she says, I will carry on the tradition, Captain, and I will carry pride in my heart and do you proud.
Your mission is crisis and emergency, so more than likely you'll be coming to help us.
As you hand her the data pad, she looks down and sees the USS Molly Williams, a refit Centaur-class Federation starship. Already her first orders listed. She is to report to Starbase 24 and is to pick up supplies and rendezvous with her new crew. There is currently a shuttlecraft waiting for her in the hangar of the USS Pride. She exhales sharply and says, and then extends her hand and says, thank you, Adriel.
Anytime and every time, Captain.
And the two of you stare at each other for a long moment as she shakes your hand. And as she turns, I'm going to go ahead and just take some narrative liberty here. And as she turns, the bridge crew of the USS Pride is waiting for her outside the doors and immediately break out into applause for her as she steps out. She gazes over the bridge as the crew cheer and clap loudly. Vrali in the back actually manages to whoop pretty loudly, hitting a falsetto tone only reserved for people who are trained in opera singing, wherever the hell Vrali got that. And Hata just takes it in as Aux crew and bridge crew applaud. She looks back at you and just nods to you with a knowing smile. We will, for dramatic purposes, we will cut to a scene where more interaction can happen with Hata down on the hangar bay. A lot of the crew is waiting for her there as she shows up with her duffel bag, wearing a pip, an extra pip on her collar. People stand at attention when the captain comes onto the deck. It takes her a moment to say, at ease, and everyone relaxes as people begin to gather around as the shuttlecraft is waiting for her. The crew is able to individually walk up and shake her hand and congratulate her at this point, and she makes sure to go through every single person that she can, giving everyone a handshake and thanking them. Pavin steps in and just leans over and he goes, don't worry. The Molly Williams has the extended life support mechanisms. They installed all the new... I'm not worried, Chief Engineer Pavin. But thank you. And if I ever need any help or my chief engineer needs any help, we will be sure to message you. Okay, just... No. Vrali approaches her and just says, you're kind of like you're like ship mom, I guess, in a way. You were XO, but you were just like really nice, and you always made me feel like it was good to be a nerd. So I'm really gonna miss you. Are you good for hugs? And Hata says, I think we can look past uniform code and just gets hugged immediately. Not, yes, I'm good for hugs. Pats of Vrali, and Vrali says, good luck, Captain. She turns and looks at the rest of you.
I'll approach. Stretch out a hand for a handshake.
Well done on your previous mission.
Thank you, Captain. And well done to you. You were not in a very easy, pleasant position either.
I was, as a human would say, trapped in a very large phone booth for a while. Not quite as exciting as running across a Dominion vessel. She leans in then and says, tell Jaren that he best hold on to you. I'm going to need a top security officer. And if I find out that you're ever available, you're mine. In a professional sense, you would be the ideal chief of security for the USS Molly Williams.
I'll keep that in mind, so I'll lord it over the captain's head if he ever,
You should.
It's a bit too much.
You should.
Good luck, Captain.
She nods, says, good luck.
I'll step up. I'll put out my hand to shake.
She shakes your hand.
I immediately pull in and whisper into her ear, if at any point you need me to fly a little ship underwater again.
And I insist that no matter what happens, you continue to seize every opportunity to give the captain shit.
Dang. See, I'm not going to get another XO like you. Most XOs.
Whoever your next one is, they're in for quite a bit of a handful.
That's the plan. Go captain things.
She pats you on the shoulder. And she steps over to you then. Savine, she glances at you for a moment and she says, you were my console, buddy. It will be taking some getting used to not looking to my left and constantly seeing you highly focused on your controls.
It's been an honor to serve a tour and a half with you, Captain.
She smiles and says, take care of the pride.
I will. You owe me the second half of that game, so I'll come to collect.
She nods. She steps past you. She gives a brief smile and a shake of the hand to Dr. Conway. And Dr. Conway just, congratulations, Captain. Really. Thank you, Dr. Conway. I will make sure to go to sickbay. And she stops and looks you in the eyes again, Captain, and extends her hands again.
Please let us know when you get in. Send messages regularly and be well.
Captain, I hate leaving a mystery unsolved. If Starfleet lets you, please tell me what's going on.
Will do. We'll keep the light on for you.
She nods. She takes one step up the ramp when Pavin, as according to protocol, goes, "Hut!" and everyone immediately stands at attention. She gazes out over the crew of the USS Pride one more time and nods. The ramp, as the shuttle bay closes, everyone watches with sad smiles on their faces as Commander, now Captain Hata, departs the USS Pride, the last time ever as a member of her crew, headed out to Starbase 16, and then jumping out to her new starbase where the USS Molly Williams is waiting for her new captain. As her shuttlecraft disappears and banks away from field of view, Pavin says, "At ease, everyone. That's one down. How many other captains we got on here? Work hard? Maybe we got a few, yeah?" That's a few people on the shoulder. At that point, it occurs to you, Cadence, that there is a large object hovering next to you. And you hear this slightly modulated voice just goes, "Excuse me, Commander Cadence.
Yeah, what do you got?
Would it be a breach of protocol if I jokingly replied to Commander Pavin that I am already a captain?"
It would be a breach of protocol and furthermore a welcome one.
Excellent. "Excuse me," and hovers, "Excuse me, Commander Pavin," and hovers over.
I wish I had 20 ensigns like that one.
I think that's when Cadence gets the chai. I need to see you in my ready room.
What?
When you have time, I need to see you in my ready room.
Yes, sir.
There is no way. There is no way that Santos doesn't miss this opportunity to look at you, Cadence, and just being like, I can't tell if you're about to get a pat on the head or someone's going to chew your ass out for decompressing your ship in the middle of a combat.
What do you want? It was efficient. It got the job done, didn't it? And most importantly, it was awesome.
You got some weird thrill issues, Commander. That's all I'm saying.
I got a high tolerance for hypoxia, that's all. Get on my level.
It goes up over time. You don't practice that, just so you know.
Maybe you don't.
Okay. You're out of your mind. I'm leaving.
Yeah, you're out of your depth. I will make my way uptown.
Okay. No. Okay. You get to the captain's quarters.
Come on in.
Ready room?
First off, I know that you're doing this whole thing with all the senior staff, and I want you to know I have a high tolerance for hypoxia. Secondly, I need you to know that before she left, Captain Hata gave me some orders, and I am going to obey them, but it would be entirely inappropriate for me to disclose those orders because they are outside of your chain of command, sir.
Have a seat.
They flop down on the whatever.
On whatever.
It doesn't matter. If it's a couch, they'll flop. If it's a chair, they'll flop. It's Pride Month, and they are not sitting properly in a chair.
You take a very bisexual position on a chair.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Captain.
This is just your standard mission debriefing. I have to go over a few questions with you. I've already spoken to the Admiralty, but this is where we get your insight and feedback. How do you feel about how the last mission went?
Far above expectations. We sent one officer into a ship full of Jem'Hadar, extracted both anticipated and unanticipated targets. The squad performed beautifully. The ships performed beautifully. Big Bird did real nice too. I still have not read the briefings about how you all went so fast, but I definitely will at some point. I can only assume that it was because you have the greatest Excelsior class pilot in Starfleet. You should remember that. You should, if you haven't written it down a bunch of times, I can write it down another time, if that would be helpful.
Did you just admit to not reading the briefing?
The engineering briefing, sir? For the Big Bird.
The briefing. Yes.
No, I'm not an engineer, sir. Do I need? Hey, sir, if I need to, I'm sorry, I'll get right on that. But I mean, it's warp stuff. You know, the Paragriffins, they go warp fart and a half.
Might be important to know how the nest is doing.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I figured, we'd have the downtime. But if it's priority, yeah, I'll get on it.
I did read the mission briefing. What is this I'm hearing about decompression in your vessel?
Yeah, they compress pretty quickly, though. It's a small volume cabin. The air comes back real quick. You got the environmental systems online, and we got Taeon out there in record time. Absolutely pivotal to the success of the mission, and I just kind of got to dump him out the back. That part was fun. He brings his own snacks, too. I can note that down if that's helpful. It's a very good manner.
It's fine. I wanted to make you aware that I have sent the Admiralty recommendation for the accolades on your service. I will tell you what I told Commander Teon. There is a very thin line between reckless and courageous. This time I find that you and Commander Teon found yourself on the right side of that line.
Thank you for your excellent judgment, sir. Very discerning. Do we have to with the... I mean, you gave me an accolade. You just said, good lad. We don't have to put that in paperwork.
I take it you're trying to lay low as well?
As well, sir.
Never mind. It's not important. You'll have to forgive me. To put it in terms that I'm sure that you can relate to, I just lost my wingman, so I am slightly compromised.
She really is a great one. USS Molly Williams. She deserves the USS Molly Williams. Doesn't deserve her. Don't know a thing about the ship. Doesn't matter.
It's a fine vessel.
Yeah, they better try to be worthy of her someday.
I have an assignment for you. You're not going to like it, but I need you to do it.
I told you I'll read the engineering briefing. Yeah.
No, not that.
Okay.
I just lost a wingman. I need another one.
Okay.
Admiral Crumb sent me a list of viable candidates. I've added a few of my own on Manifest. I'd like you to vet them. The EXO is going to function as a bridge between me and the crew and your fleet as well. So I need your insight. Someone who can work alongside both you and I. Let me know what you think.
Happy to take a look, I guess. Better to get someone who works with my baby birds than doesn't.
I'll need your selection within... Well, you do have some reading to catch up on, let's say 2 hours?
Yes, sir.
That'll be all.
Aye, sir.
All right. You step out of the ready room with a pile of homework in your hands and 2 hours to complete it.
I can't even cheat on my sister. No, that I you know what? I gotta take that back. I can't. Sam can't. The line is drawn there and no further.
Yeah. Don't get busted using AI. Not when you've come this far, Sam.
Who would be a good EXO for the kid? No, I'm
just saying.
All right. I'm gonna go do homework.
Okay.
You all have scenes among yourselves. I apparently have to read a whole bunch real quick.
Yeah. All right. So with that, you head to your quarters, I guess. Is that where you're heading? All right. The only place in the ship where it's quiet and no one bothers you?
I mean, there's always some kind of place. It's just they say, don't go in the plasma conduits. You know,
that kind of thing. It's weird. There's a whole being incinerated in less than a microsecond that happens when you do that.
Exactly. You don't even feel it.
Yeah, it's true. But your homework becomes irrelevant at that point. So there is that.
See, you get me. Hopefully one of the individuals in this pile of pads will also get me, but we are not getting another one like Hata. All right, reading.
All right. With that, the crew goes back to its routines of updating and managing the systems. Haven returns to the engineering bay and for the next few hours, it is just a lot of talk on the ship about the recent changes in the structure of command. And a lot of people start a bit of a scuttlebutt and start placing bets on where the new XO is going to be transferred from. So unless there's any other scenes, anything y'all want to do?
That, Caitlin.
It can just be like a smash cutaway thing, but Tavine has brought Taeyeon back to the mess hall and is once again, we're going through, it's like a 3-dimensional like puzzle game. And she just says, the captain seems to think that Cadence and I are not getting along. Does it seem like that from the outside? And that's the conversation they're having.
Are y'all playing?
Just get a pause.
Out of curiosity, are y'all playing Vulcan chess?
No, it's like I would say it's like a puzzle game. It's like a 3-dimensional, like kind of like.
Is it a Vulcan? Is it the
there
Vulcan
was a thing
puzzle?
they played on Voyager.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was
7 of
thinking.
9 enjoyed it, I think.
Yeah, it's called Kalto, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. We're playing. Yeah,
Y'all are playing that?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
All right, so you're sitting there with this pile of metal sticks, basically playing through it, and the question has been posed.
I definitely pause as I look to Veen. Is that an honest question that you want an honest answer for?
I can rescind the question. I was just under the impression that we had been getting along better than we had in about a decade and a half.
You've been getting along like a colleague would get along with another colleague, if that's what you mean, but you're not just colleagues, I suppose. Maybe that's what the captain had caught onto. That whatever connection you seem to have had seems to have stopped at the colleague part of it.
I'm trying, but I don't know where the line is yet.
To be fair,
it's a long time.
Yes, it is. Trying to make those bonds while you are, like I mentioned, colleagues, or you are meant to be staying professional, can be difficult, but not impossible. And I think they would appreciate it as I look away back down to the puzzle.
I'm not so concerned about the professional aspect, if I'm being honest. I know we can be professional. I don't know where the personal line is anymore.
My mother's the ones that I consider who raised me. You know, one was Vulcan, one was human, and there are some points where different cultures clash, and one was that my human mother was very bad at expressing what they thought in the moment, how they felt in the moment, which is strange. You would think that out of the two of them would probably be the Vulcan who is bad at that. And don't get me wrong,
can be quite blunt.
Yes, don't get me wrong. She was not great when it came to expressing those somewhat suppressed feelings, but it came to a point where, like you said, they leaned into the Vulcan's bluntness, upfrontness, and just said what they were thinking in the moment. And that cleared up a lot of miscommunications and assumptions that both of them would often have, and both of them would often be wrong about. Have you just spoken to Cadence? Just said how you feel, what went down, to see how they respond, instead of all of these what ifs?
I think the what if that is holding me back is rooted in the fact that I am pleased to have them in my life again. And the what if, the not opening that box is the reason that they get to stay. And I know that that is foolish.
It's not.
That is what's holding me back.
It's not foolish at all. Actually, if it makes you feel any better, that's the most normal, mundane feeling you can feel. Or far from the only one who's ever had that kind of fear.
She's making like smelled something bad faces at every emotion word you just used, but she doesn't comment on it.
I think I definitely like noticed that and I lean into
yes.
using more emotional words.
Of
Yeah,
course.
100%. I can't guarantee that telling them what went down, why it went down, and why you took the path that you did would make things any better. The what ifs you have in your head may come true, but there's also the chance that it doesn't. That the what if that you're not considering, or maybe you have considered but just pushed aside, is that you become closer to them. That this thing you're enjoying right now is just the tip of a potential iceberg, just the crumb of a potential cake you could have. I can't force you. I have no intention to, and I won't harp on about it any more than you'd like me to. But I do think
bring it up this time. Don't worry, I won't hold this against you.
I do think it's worth considering.
I miss them. And we're on the same ship. Isn't that sad?
Consider it. You never know what they might say.
Whatever they do say, I'll likely deserve it. And she'll pull out 2 more pieces to align in front of them.
I'm really bad at this game. Do we have to keep going?
I'm determined. I think you have it in you yet. And this is you again, once again, being held hostage.
That's the same.
Okay.
I would like to actually stumble in on these two if I could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's just going to be a short snippet where Captain Jiren is going to walk and see you two and go, is this the dice thing?
Oh no, the I mentioned to him, the captain, that I'm running a West Marches campaign for the security team. No, this isn't it. Are you interested? We are going to be meeting up in a few hours.
I think you can see he's very sad about everything that's happened. It's just, I think the distraction would be nice, actually.
In the meantime, if you'd like to learn how to play Kelto, there are no dice, but I find it very invigorating. As Taeyeon, I think, has a migraine, from.
This is a puzzle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can I roll to see if I figure out the puzzle?
I would love it if you did.
Yes. I'm setting the difficulty at 6.
Yeah.
And I'm going to spend a point. I'm going to spend 3 points. No, I don't have to spend threat. I forget that in second edition I don't have to. And I'm going to raise the complication range by 4.
Okay, let's bring it
You roll. So the difficulty is 6, and the complication range is increased by 4. So if you roll a 16 or higher, it's a complication.
I legitimately rolled a 9 and a 1. I still fail, but we're okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you reach down and you gently take, because if you've seen Culto, then you know that it's a bunch of maybe like slightly I don't even know if they're magnetically held together. It is
I'm
a
not sure what it is.
pile of
Something like
sticks.
that. Yeah.
As you reach down and you just gently pluck the very first one, you don't get a complication because you didn't hit it, but the failure means as you start to lift, the entire thing trembles just enough where you realize, nope. You just kind of try another one, and Captain, you realize that whatever you do here, it is going to cause an immediate loss of the puzzle. It's going to collapse. But as per the game rules, you've touched it, and you pull, and sure enough, the whole thing falls apart right in front of you.
I did it. He's just gonna walk off thinking he won.
You're welcome.
I turned to Tan. See, you're not the worst player on the ship. You can
Thank
at least
you,
get two or three sticks through before it falls.
That's actually the perfect button for our break. So we'll take 10 minutes to hydrate, stretch, come back, and we'll see you in about 10 minutes, y'all. What's going on with us tonight? Because as soon as we're not live, all we're doing is just talking shit. Like
It's pride.
Yeah, it's pride.
We're a little goofy.
Yeah, there's a little
powerful.
Threatening violence upon each other for
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Right?
For pride.
For pride. That's and for wrath. We're getting ready for wrath.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll pick up where we left off. Miraculously, your captain managed to figure out how to collapse a game that should not. It's not in its nature to collapse. It usually forms into a shape of some kind. And in this case, it has literally fallen into a pile. But you managed to put it all back together. As we come back, we'll do a 2-hour time jump.
Eric, you really expect me to have read all of this by now?
I don't know what to tell you. There are certain standards for Harvard students that other people. I mean, you accepted this responsibility. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm not a student there anymore. I'm getting my certificate soon.
I'm sorry. A Harvard certificate bearer.
God damn it.
Is it
our bad? Instead, okay, 1 hour later.
Yeah. Now that I know that it's a certificate, I can say 30 minutes later. It just keeps going down. All right. So, yeah, we'll say unless anybody has a scene that they would like, a window of time will pass. And the most of the Aux crew doing the switching duty shifts have started to gather in the club on the starbase because there are things to be done at the 6-1 club, but the Dabo tables are filling up, but things are quite quiet back on the USS Pride at the moment. What would you all like to do? I would like to go first. If anyone would like to do anything.
I'll go ahead and call Cadence up at the deadline.
At the exact second of the deadline, as it clicks, like expecting the ghost of Christmas future to appear, it just is a chirp.
Cadence, when you have the time, I need you to make your way to the ready
You're
room.
a chime at the door.
Oh. Come on in. So I hope that you've had a time to sufficiently review the candidates.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick read. What's the Admiral trying to do to you? I thought we were making them happy. I thought we were making them look good. All we kept hearing in the joint meetings was that we're doing so well and we're impressing them so much. These are the candidates they give you?
Yes. I was personally impressed by Commander Buhari. An excellent record.
Genuinely not even qualified in shuttle piloting.
Okay. What about Samara? Commander Samara, medical, uh, long distinguished history. Responsible for
I
a few
had a
hundred-
buddy who served with her. Trust me, I'm doing you a favor. No.
Whisper network at work.
Okay. Well, who did you like?
Is it too late to go in for another round? I mean, there's nothing.
This is the list that Admiral Crumb gave me, so this is the list that we picked from.
Look, I know you. This isn't me being difficult about who the next boss over me is gonna be. Captain, I'm sincerely concerned that the people on this list are not well suited to liaise with my squad. These are not people who understand what it is to be on a carrier, let alone how to facilitate cohesion between those groups. I mean, if we have, like, can we at least work around? Like, I can take a bunch of their extra work. Like, do you have a list of the stuff that they have to do? Like, if we're going to have them here, they have to do as little damage as possible.
We don't parse responsibilities. An XO has to be an XO.
They get up and start pacing. None of them can do it.
One of them has to do it.
Look at them. Did you read those and think there was anyone there?
Samara was pretty impressive, and so was Commander Buhari.
Okay, so other than the one who doesn't know the first thing about flying being on a carrier, and the one with a personality that would make me gargle a wet sock.
No one's really going to have the sort of small craft experience that you're looking for. What we are doing is entirely unique. I think Commander Buhari's history and engineering may be able to translate into working as a liaison between your fleet and the bridge, but there are other responsibilities that an XO has to attend to as well.
Like what?
They have to be a stand between me and the crew. You watched Captain Hata?
Yeah.
In layman's terms, I need a wingman. I need someone who can keep me in check. I need someone that can listen to the crew and be a firm hand when I am not able. I need someone that can help.
Captain, everyone on this bridge is here to help. I mean, I'm not even on the bridge. And I'm here to help. You know, if you ever need a wingman, well, I'm just to the left of that. I'm here for you, Captain.
But you are not on the bridge, is the issue.
Is that all it is? Then it's not even like it's that far to the bay. Give me priority on the lift so that I can get down to the shuttle bay. I'll do whatever, just not Bantari.
Are you pitching that you would take the position of XO? You. Can you bear to be 5 feet consistently away from your craft?
Oh, what, you think I couldn't?
I'm fairly certain that you can't.
The sound of a gauntlet falling somewhere?
You think I can't do my job from anywhere in this ship?
I think that you have shown a resistance to the bridge that would hinder you in performing the responsibilities of an XO.
Look, EXO or whatever, I can do anything these people could do anywhere on the ship, Captain. You need someone to stand up to you? You know I would do it better than anyone on that little sad list.
That is not an aspect of the job that I had any concern about.
No, that's the best aspect of the job.
That is why I didn't add your name to the list.
Well, that's probably a good thing. I would have made all of them look bad anyway.
Yeah, well, I also don't know that you can stand to be within reaching distance of your sibling for more than an hour at a time.
I'll have you know I spent my entire childhood loving the absolute hell out of my sister.
Oh, yeah.
And I could do it again.
Yeah, I can see it very much in the way that you two treat each other.
That's right.
That was sarcasm.
That's wrong. Sir, I don't care about the command structure. I care about my squad, and I care about the ship that carries them.
There may be time your squad has to go out there without you.
That would be a mistake, sir.
Mistake or not, is it something that you're capable of enduring?
If I got injured, wouldn't I have to? No, you know what? They'll wipe the pad and they'll upload their record and they'll just smack it down on the desk. You see anything in there that gives you the sense I'm not capable is in my vocabulary. No, look it over. They flop.
If you take this role, then the whole ship becomes your fleet. You have to care about Big Bird as much as you care about the small ones. Which means reading the engineering portion of briefings.
Oh, so you don't want? Fine. No, if you want, look, if you want, they pull the pad back.
I just want to give you a firm understanding of what you're offering to accept.
You think Bandari would have read the flight briefs?
Commander Buhari and
Buhari, excuse me.
Yes, they're an engineer. I think that they would be quite interested in the engineering portion.
Then why didn't they ever read a shuttle manual or get a basic certification? Everyone gets certification, Captain.
Well,
you have a certification, I remember.
Yeah, and I remember you fought me the whole time that I tried to get it.
Well, you're a better pilot for me. I haven't done it. I'll fight you again. Sir. So, you gonna settle for second best? No. You gonna put second best on your ship? On the USS Pride? Captain?
Reassure me that Big Bird is as important to you as your fleet, and the job is yours.
Sir, why do you think I go out there? In a little tin can that gets blown out of the sky if someone sneezes on it. Time after time after time.
I thought it was because of a chemical imbalance in your brain, but I think that I have my new XO. The bridge is certainly going to be more interesting. Should I break the news to Veen, or should you?
I'd like to cut away on Cadence's face of realizing what they've just talked themselves into.
Yay, EXO!
Oh.
Hey, don't say that too loudly. You keep that to yourself. Hey, I can discipline things now. Ironically.
That's my sibling! Woo, woo, woo!
I think I go to the bridge.
Okay.
Everyone that's here, at least.
Yeah, you see, you say everyone. A few technicians who are on their backs underneath one of the consoles hear you and immediately stand to attention. Avrali, who is at their station with some kind of candy-like stick in their mouth and is just like a lollipop, perhaps, just swivels away from their station with Captain.
This is only the second worst announcement I've ever done. I would like for you all to welcome your new EXO.
How many of them try to look over my shoulder?
The people at attention glance at each other, but Avrali goes, "Really? Oh, that's great!" And Avrali says, "No, that's great. Congratulations, Commander. Congratulations." Oh, sorry. And takes the candy out. Sorry, Commander. Congratulations. That's not something I ever thought you would ever accept. Wow, that's your peregrine doesn't fit on the bridge, sir.
I made it very clear that was the case. And Chair's just gonna sit in this chair and just watch Cadence handle this.
Avrali looks genuinely like shocked and joyful and just says, "That's I'm pleased that somebody, if you'll permit me, Captain, Commander, I'm thrilled that I have an open mind. I'm thrilled that it's a member of our crew."
And here I thought we weren't a diplomatic ship. And they'll walk up from the ready room a little bit.
Okay.
Hover for just a moment, kind of in the middle there. And then put on the stride so that there's full hotshot energy when into the EXO seat.
Okay.
They flop.
It has a familiar feel to it. Really, not all that different. Taking the command air, but as you flop into the seat next to the captain, who is not necessarily seated, but just kind of standing next to the center chair with his arm resting on the back, you flop into the EXO seat. And Cadence, what do you feel when you look at the bridge from this angle? You see in front of you the view screen right now, which is looking out over space, where you see a worker beam drones, of course, doing maintenance and shuttles coming and going. You also see the consoles about 10 feet in front of you or so, where you see where your sibling sits to your left, and you see the open ops station directly in front of you. But the captain's chair to your right, you also see just the position you're in. Immediately, the moment you flop into the seat, it's different. It's not the same as being the one chair on the ship. And I'm curious of how Cadence feels in this position of command.
I hate it. Oh my God, I hate it so much. I hate it more than anything I've ever hated. And then as I am feeling claustrophobic and slow at the same time, I see the captain in my peripheral vision, and that kind of melts. Because I'm his wingman.
It always feels too big the first time. Hata made it smaller.
Is it big or is it just because it's not small?
You know, we're gonna have to talk about who's going to be picking up your duties in the CAG.
Sir, I thought these days we were properly liberated individuals and I could do it all. Hata did ops.
We'll see how it goes. It's that part of the ship's, as far as I'm concerned, still belongs to you. If you feel that you can run and maintain it with your current duties, I won't fight you.
Vrali leans over the railing and just kind of gets as close as they can to you, Cadence, and just says, Spock was Chief Science Officer and First Officer. Leans back.
Could you compile me a list of all of examples of first officers who also played prominent roles elsewhere on the ship, ideally for ships of this size?
Easy. On it, Commander.
Thanks, Sensor Doc.
Look at that. You're giving orders already. You're a natural.
Yeah. They're already into their pad. They're seeing if anyone from the former XO pool could be cannibalized onto an ops list. They're trying to assemble who on the crew is. Like, they already semi-checked out of being on the bridge to try to do the job.
As you're kind of scrolling through and looking at some of the names, you see that a lot of them would probably consider it a setback in their momentum in their career to be delegated to the op station. So you're kind of like moving through and about a few seconds down the list when there is a chirp that you hear come through the communication from Pavan. Captain, this is engineering.
This is Jaren. Let's hear it.
Sir, did you know anything, if you don't mind my asking, sir, about a surprise inspection from Starfleet Command? Because we have company down here, and they are giving me very much did not ask you vibes, sir.
This is news to me. I'll be sending our XO down to take a look at the situation.
Oh, sorry. It took me a second. I guess that means we have a new one? Or am I jumping to conclusions here?
Yeah, if we have a new one, they'll
Okay.
be on their way.
It's been a very busy few minutes. Okay. Copy that, Captain.
On my way. And just it's not a check. It's just the light shoulder brush of like, Captain.
Matter.
When you reach main engineering, you see a lot of the staff that was down here doing maintenance with Commander Pavan is standing in kind of a half circle away from their stations. And Pavan looks very irritated. He's currently conferring right now with Baya, who is trying to keep him calm. Baya's like, I know, but I'm sure they'll probably be done soon, I'm sure, right? And you hear Pavan saying, Baya, bless you, I know what you're trying to do here. But somebody is touching my engine, and I don't know who the hell these people are. Commander, wait. Commander!
So there's a surprise inspection right here.
That did it. I'm okay. Yes, Commander, yes. He strides up to you and says, yeah, sir, Sir, I don't know who these people are. They showed me the credentials. They told me who they are. I ran it through Starfleet, and it checks out, but I'm not getting any further information from them. They are either Starfleet intelligence or from somewhere that I'm not allowed to access. And he points over to them. There's two people here. You see they are not wearing Starfleet uniforms, at least not standard Starfleet uniforms. Two individuals that almost look like they're in sort of this strange amalgam of dress uniform. But it causes anybody who has familiarity with Section 31 might flinch for a second because it almost resembles something of that nature. Section 31, of course, is notorious at this point for wearing like the simple unmarked black uniforms. they wear something very similar, except for they're more of a cloudy, dark gray, and they have layers to them. They almost look like dignitaries, but you see Starfleet chevrons pinned on this uniform. They're currently circling the warp core and running a scan with a very unique-looking tricorder, and they're ignoring everyone around them.
I'd like to make an insight check about these individuals.
Okay, the second roll of the game.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any focuses in Starfleet like protocols or chains of command or anything like that?
So I know my position on the bridge changed. I am still Cadence, so the only way I would have Starfleet protocol as a focus would be for the loopholes.
The levels, yeah, okay. You don't even you're the promotion, or well, it is your rank hasn't changed, but your position on the ship is a promotion, and even with that in place, it has not gone through ship's command centers yet. You haven't been given your command codes, and the central computer still does not identify you as the XO just yet because it happened like maybe 5 minutes ago. So.
Oh, I have a lot to take care of. 5 minutes, and the crew of our ship still.
Yeah.
All right, good to know. Good to know.
But go ahead. I guess I would say go ahead and make. Oh, yeah. What kind of role would this be for you then?
Insight command.
Yeah, insight command is probably the best shot at this. I would probably put the difficulty of this at 4.
Oh, okay. I'll just roll 2 nat ones.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, yeah.
Go roll your 2 nat ones.
We do start with 2.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything. I mean, yeah. So yeah, I'll take for a 3rd. Because I won't be protocol. I'm entirely just trying to.
Yeah, I set the difficulty this high because a lot of people in Starfleet do not know who these people are. But go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I'm more for the insight, not for the information. Just like
insight. I'm sorry. Yeah. I thought you were trying to pinpoint who they were. What?
No. I'm vibe checking them.
Okay, difficulty is 2.
That's why it's insight command. I will still take the thing because I'm good at flying and I will be good at command.
Difficulty 2 will be your roll.
All right. You know what? That's actually, I'll have you know, 2 successes.
Okay.
1 moment.
They don't appear to have any malicious intent. And they don't appear to be, they're not giving you the vibe that they are here to cause trouble.
Sure.
They look highly focused on their job and quite driven to investigate the warp core. They aren't following the standard protocols of Starfleet, but it seems unlikely they'd be able to get on board and into the engine room of the USS Pride, and would do so brazenly and openly. So something would suggest that maybe they are Starfleet, and Haven did say it checks out that they did have access.
Yeah, but is it hinky?
That you don't know. But at least from a vibe check point of view, they're not giving you the bad vibe.
No. How would y'all feel if I spent down the other momentum for an obtain? Because, like, I hate to tell you, but it's hinky.
Do so. Do it.
Do it.
Do now. Do you hear?
Spendy.
So their background checks out. The uniforms are imprecise, or at least, not typical, but check out.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything, this is an inside check, so behaviorally, that doesn't fit in with someone from around here?
From around here? I mean, by virtue of their uniforms alone, they don't seem like they fit in from around here.
I'm trying to allude to. Do they seem temporally dislocated?
No, they do not appear to be from the future. You don't get the sense that they're using the technology that they're using does seem to be different than what you have seen before with tricorders, but it doesn't give off an instinct. It looks like it's just advanced, whatever it is, but it doesn't look like any. It doesn't look like. We'll just say it does not look like a particular data pad that spoke to you recently.
Yeah.
It doesn't look anything like that. Yeah.
Just, was I getting any hello fellow kids? But like for time.
That's fair. I've been pulling from the toy box, so I don't blame you for suspecting.
Well, surprise inspection of our engine after our engine did a time thing.
That's correct.
So, yeah.
But the mystery of what is happening can only be solved so much from where you are standing here in the doorway.
Indeed, I'll have to talk to people. Fortunately, my captain chose absolutely the most charming XO.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait, it's me. Okay.
Yeah.
I see our chief engineer has said their hellos.
One of them glances up at you and then glances back down and ignores you. The second one, though, turns and looks at you and just says, you are Lieutenant Commander Cadence, if I'm
That's correct.
not mistaken. And you are head of Griffin Wing here on the USS Pride?
Among my other responsibilities on the ship, yes.
Thank you. Types that into his pad. It says, did you need anything else?
Yes, the captain has sent me to get further information on what's going on with respect to this inspection, and I am acting on his orders.
I see. He pulls the day pad back. No one told you we were coming.
No.
My apologies. I and my colleague here were operating under the understanding that you had been notified of our imminent arrival. That is a failure on part of my bosses.
Under the bus they go.
Well, now that it is my responsibility to explain why we have muscled in on your workspace and disrupted everything you were doing here.
Yep, my engineers are very distressed.
This is Lieutenant Doriel Seroth. He motions to the Denobulin, who is squatting down and running a scan with the advanced tricorder. The Denobulin doesn't look up at you and goes, and just keeps running the scan. He says, my name is Commander Eskrell. May we have the engineering room, please?
Okay, that's unnecessary. They look over to...
Here we go.
Haven looks at you, Commander, and just waits to see what you're going to tell him to do.
Cadence just gives him a, sort
All
of
right,
look.
everyone, clear out. You heard the Commander. Baya leans over and says, sorry, why is Cadence giving... I'm sorry, why is Commander Cadence sitting... That's the XO. Oh, what? And gets led away. Really? I thought you can hear Baya going, wouldn't Cadence rather die? As being led away from the engineering bay. And you're Pavin saying, as leading Baya away, going, I am rubbing off on you, Ensign. We need to talk. And they are led out of the room.
I consider her suggestion briefly and then turn back to the surprise inspectors.
As they leave, the gentleman watches and nods, and as soon as he leaves, he reaches down and reveals this little metal band on his wrist. He taps it, and immediately you watch as his form ripples and a holographic projection drops, and instead of a human, there is a Cation standing in front of you. Wearing roughly the same uniform, same colored, bright, vibrant blue eyes, but standing about the same height. But you see the tail unfurl behind him, and he just goes, Thank you, Commander. As I was saying, my name is Commander Segrell, and I am from the Department of Temporal Investigations.
Captain doesn't know how lucky he got with me as XO. Commander Segrell.
Yes, well, it has made it back to Starfleet. some of the incidents that have been taking place. And much to the failure of the department, we are only just now learning about your research into antichronotons and the encounters the Pride has been having since leaving space dock. And the most recent information, and he holds up the data pad where you see a rundown of the warp experiment that was used to get you guys where you all needed to go. And says, now there's nothing in any of this data that would hint that the temporal prime directive has been in any way violated. However, anytime there is any kind of temporal disruptions or activity, it is protocol for us to investigate it. And there are anomalies all throughout the USS Pride that we are just now being made aware of, that you and your crew have been at a terrible disadvantage. I fear that Starfleet has not done its due diligence in supporting the USS Pride and taking this matter very seriously. That is where we have been brought in. Did you know that these anti-chronoton variants have been spreading throughout your vessel since you brought on that piece of debris into your hangar bay? Since you ignited your warp core experiment, it has agitated dormant antichronotons in the molecular structure of the Pride's hull. Right now, 77% of the USS Pride's hull has been saturated in these antichronoton fields, and we don't know specifically what that will mean.
So, our ship has a symptom. You have no idea whether there's underlying pathology and no potential course of treatment.
To put it another way, we are trying to ascertain if what happened to your Klingon friend is about to happen to all of you.
Oh, good. Yep. That's some excellent nightmare fuel.
Yes.
How do you figure that out exactly, Commander?
Well, first, we are recording as much as we can of the symptoms, but I am instructed to make my presence here quick and brief and to report back to the department. However, it's becoming clear to me that this is going to be a much more involved process. Now, I'm not going to get in the way of what's taking place at the moment, and I'm not going to make what would normally be my recommendation, which of course would be to mothball the USS Pride immediately.
That's very wise.
Reckless,
I agree.
I think, but I also think that you're all the only ones being delegated to what is becoming a matter of extraordinary importance to the department. And because I'm familiar with what happens when bureaucracy gets involved, I do not want to take the people that have started the investigation off the investigation mid-investigation.
That sounds very wise, Commander.
Thank you. On that, we do agree. However, I will need to speak to your captain. I'm sorry, did I hear someone say you were the XO of the vessel now?
We don't have to make a whole thing of it.
Updates his records immediately. Commander, if you could please, I would like to speak to you and your captain in a much more discreet location. Saroth, if you would please, continue running your scans. Saroth ignores his companion and just goes, continues.
All right, well.
Before we gather with your captain, anyone else who has had contact or experienced any kind of temporal event should also be with us in this meeting.
Got it. One last thing, though. Would you please ensure Saroth is cooperative with our and responsive to our chief engineer as a respect matter?
Course. Saroth pauses the second time and looks. Be nice to the chief engineer, please. We don't need to agitate our hosts. It's not charming. I'm doing my work. Leave me to do my work. Are you done? Yes, I'm done. And I'm also your commanding officer, so you'll be nice to me as well. Sure. Goes back to his work. And you see the Cation just goes,
It's got to be tough to get that kind of insubordination.
there is a history. If you would, please.
You might wanna, and they'll just.
Thank you. Taps takes on the form of a very average-looking.
Reverse furry, yeah.
It's kind of. I know it's really. It's hard to tell us apart. So he definitely appears as a bearded white dude, and is led to the turbo lift. And you.
I'm going to round up the player characters.
Okay, cool. Then we will say, just for funsies, we will say the next scene will take place in the conference room. You all see this Cation just as he deactivates the hollow, and he says, "Forgive me for the disguise. It's important for reasons that are vastly complex and exhausting. Suffice to say that my line of work sometimes requires me to not be the person that I was when I'm crossing through possible variations and corrections to timelines. It's best that I adapt and hide identity. If you have any further questions about that, you can make an application to the department. Otherwise, I would say it's above your pay grade and we can move on. Now, that's out of the way."
Understood. So, what is the purpose of your visit? What would you like to inform us of?
Basically gives you the rundown that he told Cadence down in main engineering. When he's done, he says, now protocol would suggest that the USS Pride would be immediately removed from the fleet and isolated.
But that's not what's happening, right, Commander?
It's not what's happening, but the reason why I needed to speak to you right away, Captain, is that if this is going to continue, it needs to be done so with an understanding. The department has given me full authorization and discretion to thumbs up, thumbs down, continue operations of the USS Pride. My inclination, based off of the reports that I have read in our crew, and based off of the things that I have read that you have uncovered in just these past few months, that you should absolutely continue as you are going. However, it would be also my responsibility to ensure that you and your crew are comfortable with this as well. Captain, I don't want you to have to keep anything from your auxiliary crew or anybody else serving under you, but I do need to make you aware that continued operations of this Excelsior class starship, while saturated with these antichronotons in the molecular structure of the ship, could increase the risk of you being essentially removed from this time stream, unless we can figure out how this can be counteracted. We are still learning the details, but what we do know, based off of the reports that you have sent us, is that the Pride runs the risk of falling into the same trap as this Klingon who we have no record of. A telling thing. However, the department has record of her. And he holds up a data pad. One of the advantages of being part of the Department of Temporal Investigations is you have access to different timelines and events to ensure that yours is maintained. And I can confirm that your Klingon friend, who's not a coincidence that I continue to forget her name, your Klingon friend was, at least up until a point, a part of this timeline. Everything she has told you apparently can be confirmed by the fact that we no longer have record of her in this timeline. We think it had something to do with the antichronotons that has saturated her vessel as well.
It looks like we have even more incentive to find a way to restore them to the current timeline then.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. There's one other thing that I have yet to tell you. Everyone.
This will be the good news, right?
I'm afraid it's more than just uncovering a mystery at this point, Captain. We have been monitoring your situation. and we have been reading your reports. We have full access to everything from your personal logs to medical records. Believe me, I understand the boundaries and lines that crosses. But when you are defending and protecting timelines, we need to make sure that people are from this timeline, if you understand my meaning. And sometimes that requires us to be very thorough in our verification. We have been able to ascertain using some of our medical data and our tracking of the anti-chronoton variants that you have in your ship that everyone who has served aboard the USS Pride since your initial encounter with this ghost bird of prey, everyone's timeline is intrinsically linked to the fate of the USS Pride. Let me be plain. If the USS Pride were to suddenly be removed from existence the way this Klingon vessel has, that would mean everyone who has ever served on board the Pride to this point. Captain Hata would vanish from the center chair and would be replaced by someone else. And there's no knowing exactly what would become of her, or anyone else that's transferred off the Pride. And our timeline and the consequences, both good and bad, of all of the actions that have been taken by the USS Pride since the initial encounter, the disruption would be, I have to imagine, catastrophic. In other words, Captain, it's my recommendation that you continue operating, because I believe that if the USS Pride does not see this through, the results could be immeasurably bad for everyone and perhaps even everything.
About how long do you believe one wouldn't have needed to be on the Pride to be saturated to the point that their timeline is tethered to the fate of the ship?
That is something we are still trying to find out. The anti-chronoton variant, your science officer has correctly deduced that its origin is not from our present. It is indeed from a period of time far, far ahead. It's simply beyond our current levels of technology of fully understanding. It is manipulated in a way that we don't fully understand. But we do believe now, more than ever, that this strange hearsay Romulan vessel that you have been encountering by hearsay, we believe it's real, and we believe it's behind everything. We believe it's behind your Dominion encounter. Evidence so far from the debrief of your prisoner that you had transferred back to Starfleet Command, she has revealed to us that the power generators that they are after have an ability to excite the anti-chronotons in a way to manipulate them, and we're still trying to understand how, but we can confirm that your quarry is indeed a Romulan vessel from the future. And because of the nature of its movements, it's likely the USS Pride is the only ship in all of Starfleet that has the capacity to track it, find it, interact with it, or even possibly remember it after an encounter. I'm going to make a request of the department, Captain, with your permission, that I remain on board.
Very well. Especially since you are more than aware of the risk of doing so.
Well, at least I won't have to listen to my father complain that I never married.
I extremely don't look at my sister.
It may be necessary for us to call the Romulan ambassador. We had a guest on our ship not too long ago. The sudden vanishing of a Romulan captain last seen on a Federation ship could cause trouble.
I'm going to have to interact as little as possible and let these things play out in the background and be a source of information and guidance where I can. as well as coordinate directly with the department. I want to drive this home, Captain, that it is vital you and your command staff are the ones in control of the ship and continuing your investigation. I will be here to ensure that that remains so.
I think at this point, Chair's just kind of taking into account. We'll need to get in contact with the USS Ross. Their engineer spent some time on our vessel.
You see a look suddenly passes over his face, and his eyes widen when you say this. That's the link. He stands up and leans over the table. That's the link. Oh, it was right in front of me and I didn't see it.
Care to elaborate for those of us who might not see it?
Teclinatus is the link. Captain, in her first tour of duty, the USS Ross encountered an enigmatic ship called the Cadence, a Tholian vessel that was taking a particular interest in the movements of the USS Ross. It was never understood clearly why this was happening. Now, if you know anything about the Tholians, Captain, you will know that they are constantly meddling in all things matters of temporal nature. There was suspicion that the Catechist may not be from our timeline, but it vanished shortly after. Until recently, when it appeared again. And it appeared in the same sector where the USS Pride encountered the ghost bird of prey. There are some in the department that believe that the Catechist has been following a trail of temporal anomalies like a bloodhound, but we couldn't understand the connections. Teclinatus is the connection. It links you and the USS Ross. We will need to speak to Teclinatus immediately.
Well, and here we were enjoying our downtime.
Well, if I may, I have found the truism that time is on our side has never been true. Time is on its own side, Captain. Unless you are this Romulan vessel. They appear to have an agenda, and I think our mission should be to find out what it is once and for all.
I couldn't agree with you more. All right, let's put the call in. Let's make everyone on the crew aware of this new information. I think they have the right to be informed about their current circumstances. We do need to make it a priority to reach out to the Romulan ambassador. We don't need this turning into a giant political mess. And I suppose we find the Ross and set course. We're going to need to have a conversation.
Well then,
On it, sir.
good luck to us all then.
Have we been informed of Cadence's new standing yet?
No, so it's probably a little surprising when Cadence gets up, goes out the door, and you can just barely hear, "All right, baby birds of the nest."
Yeah, I'll say when you said on it, I think Tavine's eyes immediately were
Yeah,
like,
I mean, the XO is usually the one that's missed. So
I think I'm just going to make eyes at Tavine and just go.
you get the highest eyebrows and biggest eyes you've ever
if
seen.
you didn't think Caitlin's eyes could get any bigger with surprise.
Don't worry, they will. They can. They keep going.
Everyone just like kind of looks between the captain and Tavine and goes, "Am I missing something? Why did Commander Cadence get?"
Commander Cadence is my new executive officer.
What?
Commander Cadence is the new XL.
So Cadence left the room, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Permission to be dismissed, Captain.
Permission granted.
Up and out.
I was staring at the captain for a second. Now turn.
I'm going to go find Cadence. Since the scene if the scene is continuing, that's where I'm going.
Cadence is on the bridge, and I guess the order to get in contact with the Ross has been given.
Mm-hmm. The last thing I'll say to Taeyeon is, I need you to run Cadence's credentials through the system and make the promotion official.
Hi, Captain. Be my pleasure.
Time to do more reading on the Ross. I do hope they're nice.
Changing that background finally.
I'm here now.
Yeah.
I was like, as soon as I was sending them background, I was sending them backgrounds to choose from.
Yeah. So Cadence is gremlin perched on the chair with a pad in their hands and like half leaned over the little. They got fancy consoles in this kind of seat. So they are. It's not flopped. This is an active stance, a gremlin perch. This is a perch of getting stuff done. This is leadership right here. Why did they put a kindergarten? Anyway, yeah. So that's Cadence.
Tavine beeline. Oh, so go for it.
Just because it does not take long at all. As you walk up to Cadence, just as you get to Cadence, Avrali pivots in their chair and just says, "Captain, I have the USS Ross on comms."
Patch him in. Let's start the fun conversation.
There's on the view screen, you just see blinking on. You see a young woman with sharp features and blonde hair. It's sort of swept over onto the side with the captain's pips, the command uniform. Everyone in Starfleet at this point who has read any kind of tech paper at all knows who Captain Exio is. She has made a name for herself as the first holographic life form to command a starship as her acting captain. When she appears on screen, you see she looks up and says, "USS Pride, this is the USS Ross."
Well, I wish I was calling under better circumstances, but I need to have a hard conversation with you.
There's a smile on Exio's face, and the captain says, "Well, okay, I've had a few of those in my time."
I can only imagine.
What can I do for you, Captain?
Not too long ago, we borrowed an engineer from you, Tech.
Yeah, Tech Manatus.
We've been informed that our ship has been saturated with anti-chronotons, about 77%. I'm sending you the data now. I'm essentially sending the data of what our new friends have told us.
Okay.
The fate of those who have spent time on the vessel, on our vessel, is tied to the Pride. I do fear that your engineer may inadvertently be tethered to the Pride.
Tethered? Of course it would be Tech.
Did wonderful work. You're very lucky.
I heard about his mission with the USS Pride and you all rescuing a space station falling out of the clouds. Pretty incredible.
Just paying it forward.
Well, I'm afraid he's not on board the ship, Captain. Tech is currently attending an engineering conference on Bajor.
Sweet home. It turns out Tech was also the link, or may very well be the link, of a number of extraordinary anomalies that we've encountered. I do believe that the Ross at some point encountered a phantom Romulan vessel. Would you be aware of this incident? Again, I'll send you what I have immediately.
She looks it over and says, "No, I don't recall any Romulan vessels. We've certainly encountered our fair share of subspace anomalies, particularly as regarding subspace. But most of them were regarding life forms living in subspace."
Were you talking about the Tholian thing that Eric mentioned?
Oh yeah, my bad. That was my bad.
Oh,
I just want to make sure that you know what you're doing.
Yeah, the Calcustus.
When you bring up Tholians, that gets a visible reaction from Exio. The captain looks at you and says, Yes, we did. My former captain actually stared one down. I'm wondering if this is the same."
We have reason to believe that it may very well be. If it's all the same to you, I've set the Pride en route to rendezvous with you. I think we might benefit from a conversation.
Well, we're currently at Kittimer right now, uploading supplies to be taken into Romulan space. Tech is on Bajor, but if you need us, we'll come to meet you as soon as possible. It might take some time. Otherwise, Tech is going to be on Bajor for the next 2 weeks.
Maybe, I'm thinking we may have to have a conversation with your engineer then, if it's all the same.
No, we're in opposite directions, and I'd hate to have you come all the way out here for nothing.
I'd hate to come out for nothing. I'll keep you apprised of the situation as I learn more.
Please do, Captain.
Thank you so much for your time, and
you're welcome. I'm going to send over all information we have available on the Cadence. It's a big ship, to say the least.
Of course. I will do whatever I can to make sure that your engineer remains safe.
Good luck with that, Captain.
Best to you.
And you, Captain. Ross out.
Yeah, I think with that, he's just going to be in the ready room reading the new information that he got from Exio.
As you look at the data pad, stepping into your ready room, as you hear Cadence taking command behind you and the crew being called back to the USS Pride, you look down at the data pad and you see what Starfleet has classified a Tarantula-class dreadnought cruiser. It is a massive vessel that dwarfs the USS Pride. It looks like a series of geometric crystal-like shards that extend outward in front of the vessel and almost like a quad-like pattern that slowly spin. It looks like it is a scale 7 vessel. The Tholians are still one of the most mysterious species that Starfleet has ever encountered. There's only been one real piece of Tholian information that has ever been a source of information available to Starfleet. Curiously, there's never been a call to tap that Tholian information, but you do see that in this file, there is reference to a Tholian who became a Starfleet officer named Bright Eyes. Shout out to Jackson Lansing and Colin. You see that Bright Eyes has supplied a lot of information about Tholian culture, but what you see here is a lot of it seems to indicate that Exio is correct. It looks like the Tholians have always had some kind of connection to two different things that Starfleet does not fully understand: time manipulation and the crystalline entity. What their relationships to these two things, Starfleet doesn't know. But it looks like the Cadence tracked the USS Ross sporadically over its tour and then mysteriously vanished. And then has begun to appear again. And as you're looking at it, the sightings of this extraordinary, unique-looking vessel, you start realizing in that moment, Captain, that it almost looks like the Cadence has been following the USS Pride. you see it's tracking. Looks like it is just marked down, and then suddenly banks away and is lost again.
I think seeing this, Jared is going to get out of the ready room to speak to his XO, but then see Cadence and Tavi talking and just kind of go back into the ready room and digest this to let them finish.
There are so many things unanswered, but at least right now, the USS Pride finally has an idea of who it is that they're looking for, and you finally have some support on how to do it. The crew being called back in, we're not wrapping up, don't worry. The crew being called in, essentially the USS Pride Ox crew gets called back to the vessel.
Yeah.
At about the same time, the ship starts becoming an absolute madhouse of activity. As people are beaming back on board, taking duty stations, new crew rosters coming on board. And as this is all happening in the process, what would you like to do?
Yeah, Tavine, after asking to be excused, beelines out to try to find Cadence. Doesn't have to look very far.
Mm-hmm.
I think from your pad, there is suddenly looming over you, kind of like, as she does most things, awkwardly, Tavine is like a foot away from you, kind of like looking at you with just huge eyes.
You know, this means I get to order you around now, right?
Do you want this?
Like it's chain of command and everything.
Cadence, do you want this? This is, you would know very earnestly. This is not accusatory.
Yeah, no,
She's
yeah.
very earnestly wants to know if you want this.
Yeah, so like a little bit of, oh, okay, we're actually being, okay. You did not see those exos. I'm doing this whole ship a favor.
Favor you want to be doing? A favor you want to be doing?
I look back over my shoulder at the captain's chair. Sometimes it's the person you do the favor for.
Enveloped in a huge hug.
It's like a good 2 seconds of kind of stiff.
From the hug. Congratulations, Commander. And then stands up and is back to professionalism. We are on the bridge.
You'll look forward to your briefing on scrubbing the hull with a toothbrush.
Looking forward to it even.
I'll be up here all the time.
I will feel the eyes on the back of my head in a more direct sense. Once we are on our way, and we have downtime again, I felt perhaps we should investigate the galley and how their sausages pan out, shape up. Mozzie. Feels right.
Grill them for information.
Exactly.
It's only logical.
The most.
We'll be
And-
dismissed or something.
And I was like, yeah, before it can even start awkwardly being at how she is, we'll turn on heel and be dismissed.
I think if you're cool with this, Tail like walks by longer legs, faster pace, but pats you very firmly on the back. And then
Shut
just
up.
keeps going. Didn't say anything.
You don't say anything. Shut up. No.
And if it's cool with everybody, I think that's when Jared walks in, goes to the seat and goes, "All right, everybody, we have a new heading. We're going to an engineering convention in Bajor. I've sent the heading to you, Tavine, so let me know when we're ready to go.
Give us a moment and we will be ready on your mark. Checking
You
in with
receive a
engineering.
hail from Starfleet Command.
On screen.
Coming through from the starbase, being bounced off, you see appearing on screen is Admiral Rollin. A little late on when he was phoning in, but when he does phone in, you see the look on his face indicates that he might know what's going on. As his face appears on the screen, it's not the usual jovial betazoid that you have come to know and love. The Admiral just looks at you with a bit of concern on his face and says, Captain, I understand you're about to get underway to Bajor.
Home sweet home.
Yeah, not the homecoming I was hoping for you, but I'm glad you're getting a chance to go back. I've been briefed on everything that's happening. The Department of Temporal Investigations, a bit late, ironically, on updating some of the Admiralty as to what is going on right now. Clearly, there's some breakdown in interdepartment communications that we're going to have very thorough discussions about after you get underway that I will keep you privy to. But in the meantime, I just want you to know that I am giving the USS Pride full authorization to pursue and uncover this mystery as quickly as possible, Captain. I know I've kind of taken the safety off for you already, but right now we're at a point where the department has made it pretty clear that as time goes on, there is a risk that you might be temporally displaced. If that happens...
Yeah. Causes a lot of trouble beyond just the fine folks on this ship. We've had a Romulan captain and more.
You don't have the capacity of cloaking, Captain, and to put it finely, you might appear to everyone as a Federation ship that no one has heard of before. You might slowly start fading from the memories and records of this timeline. Be very careful how you use that new warp system, and please keep me updated. If the worst should come to pass, Captain, I'm giving you full authorization to do whatever it takes to protect the timeline, the Federation, to protect everything.
Understood. I promise you that this ship will make history, not be forgotten by it.
Keep me posted, Captain, and I'm going to be doing periodic check-ins.
So long as you remember.
He pauses and glances as he notices who's sitting in the chair next to the captain. There's a long pause, and it's a pause that, Cadence, you can read. He doesn't need to say anything. He just smirks and just nods, says, Commander.
Admiral.
And then it just cuts. Transmission ends.
We ready to head off? Tavi?
We are requesting permission to depart from Station 16. Once
This
we get
is-
the all clear, we'll be ready to go.
This is Starbase 16, USS Pride. You are cleared for departure.
All right, Captain. Clearing all moorings and engaging aft thrusters at your word. We may head off.
You could imagine, once again, the USS Pride engaging the aft thrusters as the worker bees pull away from her hull, and she begins to slide gracefully away from space dock. With the beautiful, brilliant azure blue lights of the starbase in her background, you see as the USS Pride once again pulls into the beautiful black curtain of space and sets course.
I think Jared's going to look over at his EXO and go, why don't you take this one?
The bridge, members of the bridge, kind of pull a moment in Star Trek Discovery where they all glance in your direction, Commander, to see what your catchphrase is going to be.
We are free and clear, Commander. On your mark.
Fly, sister, fly.
We punch it.
And with that, the USS Pride jumps to warp. And that is our button for our episode.
My goodness.
Let's see. It took 29 episodes for them to have a conversation.
We're gonna make these siblings get along. God damn it!
We've been getting along. You guys are. Everybody's saying we're being so.
By our grading on our curve, I gotta tell you, but no, they really did just like put us in the get along shirt of being on the bridge.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Hey, congrats, Commander Cadence, new EXO!
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Speaking of
And
29
everyone me
episodes,
who's getting
I just wanted to point out that next month will be 1 year of the Last Excelsior.
Holy shit!
wow.
Can you believe that?
Holy shit!
We didn't start during Pride. What's wrong with us?
We tried.
We made this
Oh, we
joke
did,
back
that's
then
right.
too.
That's
We
right.
started developing during the Pride. During
That's right,
Pride.
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, we started development. I remember us when we were picking what ship we were going to fly and when we were going to name it. It all happened pretty fast. After
Very
we named the ship, it all started happening pretty fast.
Yeah.
But it is wild. 1 year. So we should do something special. I don't know what. Maybe we'll do our Lower Decks episode as a celebration. It might be fun to do.
Baya. I want to
Yeah.
be Baya
Oh,
again.
God. You have to draw Baya as a Lower Decks character.
I so do. I so do.
You absolutely need to do a Lower Decks to celebrate 1 year of the Last Excelsior. But that's for the future, which we don't even know if we get, depending on how the USS Pride's mission unfolds. I mean, we could be utterly screwed. Though I will say that I'm thrilled that we have finally, can I just say as a game master, this is the longest I have ever had to sit on a plot point. I thought it was hard enough sitting on the whole Lark Sage plot point. It was hard enough sitting on some of the plot points for Clear Skies and Beacon. No, I've been sitting on the Cadence plot point since Clear Skies wrapped. And finally, literal years later, we are finally back, and I'm very pleased that we are finally getting to this. So thank you all so much for joining us for this very special episode, our first episode back for Pride. We hope you enjoyed it. We want to thank, as always, take a moment to thank Ox Crew, who has continued to support the show and continues to support StreamPunks. We will see you all next Monday for the next chapter of the story of the USS Pride. But until then, friends, alien frequencies are closed.